I feel honored and unworthy to say a few words. I was thinking about what made Rabbi Sachs, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs, so special that there's so many people here around the world. There's so many people look up to him as the leader of our generation. Just a few thoughts, many of which have already been expressed. Number one, education. He, of course, getting a serious education, but he studied ideas. The idea, the big ideas, the big picture, following in the footsteps of the Rambam, Chassidut, Kreskis, the Ralbag, the great philosophers of our people. Rabbi Sachs studied the great important ideas, and he knew how to put it and translate those ideas in the cultural language of the day, to speak to the people, the more nevuchim, the people of our time with our own problems. Every generation has own issues, and Rabbi Sachs knew how to speak to our people. He spoke on the issues of the day, the key issues. Last week, for my birthday, my in-laws bought me a present, his latest book, Morality, Restoring the Common Good in Divided Times. And I think that sums up his life. Rabbi Sachs was a moral beacon. He was the leader speaking to ideas, the broken world, the divided world in which we live, and a voice of reason, a voice of hope, a voice of power. He was lo-made mikol adam. Rabbi Sachs understood we can learn from everybody, from all religions, from all people. We spoke already, a company mentioned his trip to Toronto 10 years ago when he spoke on many occasions, spoke on behalf of a 10th anniversary of Torah in Motion. And he spoke at Sher Shemaim. We had a huge crowd. And the next night he spoke at University of Toronto. We had a program with him and Charles Taylor, who's a Roman Catholic philosopher. And Rabbi Sachs began the evening by saying how excited he was to be on stage with the philosopher, how much he had learned from him. And then he explained that our tradition teaches that when one sees a sage, one makes a bracha, one has to make a blessing. And in front of a packed house, he made the bracha b'shem u'malchut, shenatan michachmod lebasar v'dam, that God who's given his wisdom to human beings. And the power of that moment, here he is making a bracha with a Roman Catholic theologian and philosopher as they beginning to engage in a conversation. Because he was a lomed mikol hadam, he could be a malamed l'kol hadam. He could teach everybody. As you've already heard, the chief rabbi of the non-Jewish world, the chief rabbi of the Jewish world, he reached so beyond the Orthodox community. And that really is a special talent, a talent that unfortunately we have lost in our time. He was an Or L'Goyim, a real light for all of us. And he made us proud to be Jews. When you heard him speak, when you read his work, you felt wonderful. You felt this is such a great message that we have, great teaching that we have to strive to live up to. As we all know, he was a great writer and a great speaker. But it's not, as Rabbi Schechter mentioned, this doesn't just happen on its own. It takes great discipline. It says there's some natural talent, but you have to work. And Rabbi Sachs worked on it. His poetic use of language, the range of sources, the portrait he would paint, the relevance, his words were so inspirational. I cannot think of a better introduction to Tefillah than his introduction in the Koran Siddur. Each one of the introduction to the Yamim Tovim, he takes ideas we've known since we were in kindergarten, and we've heard over and over, and he put a new light, a new spin, a beautiful, beautiful understanding and message that resonates for many, many years. He recognized what his mission was in life. As you heard, and you heard him, he just say it, he came to America to see the Lubavitcher Rebbe, planning to be a professor of philosophy. The Rebbe said, what are you going to do? And I thought of something, I pulled out his Haggadah, the chief rabbi's Haggadah, and I think there's an idea there, and to me, it parallels what the Rebbe had told him. It's what he himself calls a radical interpretation of the Rasha. Says the Rasha asks, "Ma havodah zot lachem?" What is this work or service unto you? And we all struggle. What exactly makes him a Rasha? What Rabbi Sachs said is the son, the child, the son or daughter, is turning to their parent and saying, "Ma avodas asot lachem." What is this? What does Judaism mean to you? You want me to be a good Jew. What type of a model do you lead for us? If we want our children to make a difference, we have to model that life. We have to live that life. Ma avodas asot lachem. We have to have a love of Judaism. Ve'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha. Only through love can you have can we teach our children. And I think the Rebbe was asking Rabbi Sachs, Ma avodot lecha? What are you going to do? What is this avodah? And he took that message to heart, and he transformed his life and the life of thousands and millions of people for many, many years. I think the best way to honor his memory is to ask ourselves, Ma avodah zot lachem? What can we do to ensure the beautiful message of Torah is central to our life, to the lives of those around us, that we too, as Rabbi Schechter so beautifully demonstrated and spoke about, how we can make a difference in the lives in whatever world that we live in. Tehei nishmato tzura b'tzur hachayim, yehi zichro baruch.